The morning of his wedding, Kalechi's best friend broke into the bride's private room and found proof that the woman he loved was planning to destroy him completely. The town of Agwanta had never seen a wedding this grand. Canopies of white and gold stretched across Chief Balagan's hall. Roses lined every table. 400 guests were expected. At the center of it all was Emeka Olusegun, 30 years old, broad-shouldered, warm brown eyes, and a quiet confidence that made people trust him instantly. His white tuxedo was custom-fitted, red boutonniere, gold cufflinks. He was generous, kind, and today, completely happy. He was also about to make the worst mistake of his life. Her name was Chidinma Okafor, 25, high cheekbones, a smile that could stop traffic. She wore her white lace wedding gown like a queen wears a crown, diamond earrings, a cathedral veil, extraordinary in every way, dangerous in every way nobody could see. Only one person suspected. His name was Tobenna, Emeka's best friend. Sharp-faced, thin-framed glasses, navy groomsman suit. A man who noticed everything. That morning, Tobi took a wrong turn looking for the venue manager. He found a door, 2 inches open. Through that gap, Chidinma, still in her silk robe, kneeling before a table draped in black cloth. On it, a cracked clay pot covered in dark symbols. Candles burned to stubs. And in her hands, a photograph of Emeka. She was whispering over it, eyes closed, face cold and fierce. Tobi stopped breathing. Then Chidinma opened her eyes, and what Tobi saw in them made his blood turn to ice. There was nothing warm there, nothing soft, nothing in love. Tobenna pulled back from the door. His hands were shaking. He pressed himself flat against the corridor wall, heart hammering so loud he was sure someone would hear it. He counted to 5. Then he looked again. Chidinma was still kneeling. She uncorked the vial carefully, like someone who had done this before. She tilted it slowly over the clay pot, letting 3 drops fall inside. Then she whispered one final word, stood up, and smoothed her robe like nothing had happened. Like she had simply finished her morning prayers. Tobi moved. Fast. Back down the corridor, around the corner, out into the open compound where the caterers were shouting and the DJ was testing bass levels. He stopped behind a canopy pillar and pressed his fist to his mouth. His mind was racing. He was not a superstitious man. He had a business degree. He read the news. He did not believe in rituals or dark pots or whispered incantations. But he believed his eyes. And his eyes had seen a woman, 2 hours before her wedding, kneeling over symbols he did not recognize, dripping something dark over a photograph of the man she claimed to love. That was not prayer. He needed to know what was in that vial. He needed to know what those symbols meant. And most urgently, he needed to know why Chidinma had been smiling like that. Not like a bride, like a hunter who had finally cornered her prey. He pulled out his phone, searched the symbols he could remember. Nothing useful came back. Then he remembered someone who would know. Mama Bintu, the oldest woman in Agwanta. She never attended celebrations. She never left her compound on the edge of the village. But she knew things, old things, that no search engine could ever find. Tobi looked at his watch. 6:58 a.m. The wedding started at noon. He straightened his tie, turned away from the music and the laughter, and walked quickly toward the village road. Mama Bintu's compound sat at the edge of Agwanta like a secret the village had decided to keep. No flowers at the gate. No painted walls. Just old mud brick, a twisted neem tree, and silence so thick it had weight. Tobi knocked twice. The door opened before his knuckles finished the second knock. Mama Bintu was small, ancient. Her skin was deep brown and mapped with wrinkles that told stories nobody had asked to hear. She wore a plain gray wrapper and a white head tie. Her eyes were sharp and completely unsurprised to see him. "I have been expecting someone," she said quietly. "Come in." Tobi stepped inside. The room smelled of dried herbs and something older. She gestured to a low stool. He sat. She remained standing, studying him. "You saw something this morning," she said. It was not a question. He described it. The room. The black cloth. The clay pot. The symbols. The vial. Her smile. He described everything. Quickly, precisely, the way a frightened man describes a nightmare he cannot explain. Mama Binta did not move while he spoke. When he finished, the silence lasted a long time. Then she closed her eyes. The pot you described, she said slowly, is called Ido Juju, the pot of binding and consuming. She opened her eyes. It is not used to protect a man. It is used to empty him. Tobi went cold. What does that mean? It means the ritual is designed to transfer everything a man carries, his wealth, his strength, his years, into the one who performs it. She paused, slowly, quietly, so that by the time he realizes what is happening, there is nothing left to save. The words landed like stones dropped into still water. And the vial? Tobi asked. Mama Binta looked at him steadily. That is what activates it. It must be consumed willingly, given as a gift, hidden in food or drink. She folded her hands. At a wedding, it is most commonly hidden in the communion cup. Tobi ran until his lungs burned. By the time he reached the main road, he slowed to a fast walk, straightening his tie, forcing his breathing down. He could not arrive back at the venue looking like a man who had just received the worst news of his life. Not yet. Not until he had a plan. He needed evidence. Real evidence. Something he could put in Emeka's hands and say, look at this. I am not imagining it. Because he knew Emeka. Knew him better than anyone. Emeka loved deeply and he trusted completely. He would not abandon Chidinma based on words alone. Not on the morning of his wedding. Not without proof that could not be argued away. Tobi needed that vial. He needed to get back into that room before anyone cleaned it out. He entered the compound through the back gate, nodding calmly at a caterer who glanced his way. The venue was fuller now. More guests arriving. More noise. More movement. Good. Easier to disappear in a crowd. He moved toward the east corridor. The door was closed now. Fully shut. He tried the handle. Locked. He stood back, thinking fast. There was a window at the end of the corridor. He had noticed it earlier. Small. High up. But the louvres were old. Loose. He checked both directions. Empty. He pulled a small penknife from his inside pocket, the one he always carried, a 15-year-old habit, and worked the first louvre free. Then the second. Then the third. He pressed himself up on his toes, reached inside, and unlatched the inner lock. The window swung open. He pulled himself up and through, dropping quietly onto the tiled floor inside. The candles were out. The black cloth was gone. The clay pot was gone. But the vial was still there, sitting on the floor beneath the table, overlooked, small and dark and waiting. Tobi reached for it and froze. Footsteps. Outside the door. Slow and deliberate. Someone was coming. Tobi did not breathe. Chidinma's mother stood in the doorway, eyes fixed on the open window. Her name was Mama Okafor, 60 years old, broad and tall, with a face carved from stone and eyes that missed nothing. The gold and burgundy lace she wore did not make her look festive. It made her look armored. She took one step into the room. Tobi tightened his fist around the vial. She took another step. Then she stopped, turned her head slowly toward the wall where he was pressed. For 3 full seconds, neither of them moved. Then a voice called from outside, loud and cheerful. Mama Okafor, the photographer is asking for you. She held her position for one more agonizing second. Then she turned, walked back to the door, and pulled it shut behind her. Her footsteps faded down the corridor. Tobi exhaled so hard his knees nearly buckled. He waited 60 seconds. Then he climbed back through the window, dropped into the corridor, and walked, fast but calm, toward the groom's suite. He had the vial. Now he needed someone to tell him exactly what was inside it. He thought of Dr. Amadi, the local pharmacist. A quiet man, discreet. His shop was 8 minutes away. Tobi checked his watch. 9:05 a.m. 3 hours left. He texted Emeka, running a quick errand. Back in 20. Don't let them start without me. He added a laughing emoji so it felt normal. Emeka replied in seconds. You better not be chasing another woman on my wedding day, bro. 3 laugh emojis. Tobi stared at the message. His chest ached. His best friend was in that venue right now, laughing, celebrating, completely trusting, walking steadily towards something Tobi was not yet sure he could stop. He put the phone in his pocket and moved faster. Dr. Amadi picked up the vial again, turned it slowly in the light. If the first dose is never consumed, he said carefully, the process never begins. The body remains clean. He set it down. But if even one drop passes his lips today, the damage begins, and it becomes very difficult to reverse. Tobi straightened. So I just need to make sure he never drinks from that cup. That is the simple version, yes. Dr. Amadi looked at him over his glasses. But young man, whoever prepared this did not do so casually. This is sophisticated, deliberate. They will have a backup plan. Tobi nodded slowly. He already knew that. He thanked the pharmacist, pocketed the vial, and stepped back into the harmattan morning. 9:47 a.m. 2 hours and 13 minutes. He walked fast, mind working. He needed a strategy. Storming up to Emeka and saying your bride is poisoning you is not a strategy. That was a grenade. Emeka would react with shock, then denial, then anger, possibly at Tobi himself. He needed to be smarter. First, secure the communion cup before the ceremony. Second, find proof that connected Tobenna directly to the ritual room. Third, make sure Mama Okafor could not interfere. 3 steps. Clean. Manageable. He was almost at the venue gate when his phone buzzed. Unknown number. He answered. Silence. Then a woman's voice. Low and measured. You have something that does not belong to you, Tobenna. His feet stopped moving. Put it back where you found it. Walk away. Enjoy the wedding. A pause. Or do not walk away. And see what happens to the people you love. The line went dead. Tobi stood at the gate, phone still at his ear, the compound noise washing over him. They knew his name. They knew he had the vial. And they had moved faster than he had. The bridesmaid's name was Neka. Tobi found this out within 4 minutes by asking one of the ushers a casual question about the bridal party lineup. Neka OSU. 23. Chidinma's cousin on her mother's side. Of course. Mama Okafor's side of the family. He filed that away and kept moving. He needed to get to the communion cup before anyone else did. At Ugwunta weddings, the cups were typically prepared by the church coordinator and kept in a small vestry room at the back of the venue's chapel section. He found the chapel coordinator, a round, cheerful woman named Sister Gladys, arranging flowers near the altar. Sister Gladys. He gave his warmest smile. I am one of the groomsmen. Brother Emeka asked me to confirm the communion arrangements personally. She beamed. Of course. Everything is prepared. The cups are in the vestry, sealed and ready. Wonderful. He also asked, is there anything the bride's family contributed to the communion preparation? Any wine or juice they supplied? Sister Gladys paused. Thought. Well, yes, actually. The bride's mother brought a bottle of wine this morning. Said it was a family tradition. I assumed it was fine. Tobi kept his smile perfectly in place. Absolutely. He just wanted to confirm. Thank you, sister. He walked to the vestry. Tried the handle. Locked. He knocked. No answer. He looked through the keyhole. Dim inside. 1 table. 2 cups. A dark bottle of wine sitting between them. He needed that key. He needed it in the next 90 minutes. And he needed to do this without alerting Neka, without alarming Mama Okafor, and without Chidinma finding out that her entire plan was unraveling one thread at a time. He turned around. Neka was standing at the chapel entrance, watching him. Sister Gladys kept her keys on a large ring clipped to her waist. Tobi had noticed that immediately. 7 keys minimum. The vestry key would be among them. He needed a distraction, something big enough to pull her away from the chapel for at least 3 minutes. He found his answer in the catering tent. One of the junior caterers, a young boy barely 18, nervous and sweating, was struggling with a gas cylinder that had refused to ignite. Tobi spent 60 seconds helping him fix the connection. Then he whispered a simple instruction in the boy's ear and pressed 2,000 naira into his palm. The boy nodded eagerly. Tobi walked back to the chapel and waited near the side entrance. Exactly 90 seconds later, the boy appeared at the chapel door, breathless and wide-eyed. Sister Gladys. Sister Gladys. One of the flower arrangements near the main entrance just fell and crushed the unity candle. The coordinator is asking for you urgently. Sister Gladys gasped, gathered her skirts, and hurried out. Her keys were still clipped to her waist. Tobi adjusted. Plan B. He slipped into the vestry corridor and examined the door more carefully this time. Old hinges. The bottom gap was wider than standard, and the bolt was a simple interior slide, not a deadlock. He pulled a thin laminated card from his wallet. His gym membership. He had used it to open sticky doors before. He worked it into the gap below the handle, angled it upward, and applied steady pressure. The bolt slid. The door opened. He was inside in 4 seconds. The wine bottle sat between the 2 communion cups. Dark glass. No label. He uncorked it and brought it to his nose. Beneath the sharp smell of fermented grape, something else. Faint. Chemical. Almost sweet. He pocketed the bottle, replaced it with a sealed water bottle from his jacket. Red wine colored. Close enough. Recorked it, and was back in the corridor before Sister Gladys returned. 3 minutes. Clean. He exhaled. One threat neutralized. But as he turned toward the main compound, his phone buzzed again. A text from Emeka this time. Bro, come to the groom's suite. Now. Something is wrong. Tobi gathered the photographs carefully. 6 in total. All of Chidinma with the same man. Tall, light-skinned, well-dressed. Relaxed in her company in a way that spoke of history, of familiarity, of something long established. Emeka had not moved from the bed. Talk to me, Tobi said quietly. Who sent them? Emeka's voice was hollow. Who does something like this on a man's wedding morning? Tobi sat beside him. He had 2 secrets now pressing against his chest simultaneously. The ritual, the vial, and now this. He needed to think carefully about what to release and when. Do you recognize the man? Tobi asked. Emeka shook his head, then stopped. Wait. He took one photograph back, stared at it. The watch. That watch? I have seen it before. He looked up. Chidinma's uncle wears that watch. Her mother's younger brother. He visited twice when we were dating. I thought nothing of it. Tobi went very still. Chidinma's uncle. Mama Okafor's brother. Not a secret lover then. Family. Operating together. The picture was becoming clearer and darker all at once. Emeka. Tobi chose his next words with surgical precision. I need you to trust me completely for the next 2 hours. Can you do that? Emeka looked at him. What do you know? Not enough yet. But I am getting there. Tobi stood. Do not confront Chidinma. Do not cancel anything. Act completely normal. Can you do that? Tobi, can you do that? A long silence. Emeka straightened slowly. Put his jacket back on. Smoothed the lapel. The gold cufflinks caught the light. Normal, he said flatly. Fine. Tobi gripped his shoulder once. Then moved to the door. Lock this room. Let nobody in. And do not eat or drink anything until I come back. He left before Emeka could ask why. The ring. Tobi pressed himself against the wall, barely breathing. He needed to hear more. The compound is already activated, the man continued. 1 hour of contact with skin is enough to begin the process. By the time anyone realizes what is happening, it will be 3 months from now and too late to trace. And the groomsman? Mama Okafor asked. A pause that lasted too long. Handle him. Quietly. Before the ceremony. Footsteps. Moving toward the corridor. Tobi moved. Fast and silent. Back around the corner and into a side room. A storage space. Mops and folded chairs. Pulling the door almost shut behind him. Mama Okafor passed first. Then the man. Tobi got a clear look through the gap. It was the uncle from the photographs. Tall. Light-skinned. The expensive watch on his wrist catching the light as he walked. His face was calm in the way that dangerous people are calm, not because nothing is happening, but because they have done this before. His name, Tobi would later learn, was Vincent Okafor. But right now all Tobi knew was that the communion cup was no longer the weapon. The wedding ring was. And he had no idea where the ring was being kept. He waited until the footsteps faded. Then he slipped out and moved quickly toward the groom's suite. He knocked. Their signal. Emeka opened the door. The ring, Tobi said immediately. Where is it? Emeka frowned. Relax. It is in my inside jacket pocket. I have had it since. He reached inside. His hands searched. His expression shifted. He checked the other pocket. Then he turned the jacket over entirely. It was here, he said slowly. I put it there myself this morning. Tobi's jaw tightened. When did you last see it? Emeka thought back. His face changed as the answer arrived. When Chidinma's mother came to greet me. She hugged me. About an hour ago. Tobi had seen Emeka angry before. He had seen him angry at business partners who cheated him, at family members who disrespected him, at situations that pushed him past his limits. But he had never seen him like this. This was not loud anger, not the kind that shouts and breaks things. This was the quiet kind, the kind that sits down, breathes slowly, and thinks. The most dangerous kind. How certain are you? Emeka asked. Completely certain about the vial. The pharmacist confirmed it. The communion cup is neutralized. I replaced the wine. The ring, Tobi paused. The ring we need to recover before the ceremony. Emeka nodded once. Slowly. And Chidinma. He said her name carefully, like handling something sharp. You believe she knows everything. That she is not being used by her mother and uncle without her knowledge. Tobi thought of the ritual room. Chidinma kneeling alone. Her cold, focused expression. Her terrible smile with the vial. Yes, he said quietly. She knows. Another long silence. Then here is what we are not going to do, Emeka said. We are not going to cancel this wedding. Tobi stared at him. Emeka, not yet. If we cancel now, they disappear. The evidence disappears. And they find another man next time. He stood up, straightening his tuxedo with calm, precise movements. We finish this wedding. But we finish it our way. Tobi understood immediately. You want to catch them completely. I want them to walk into their own trap. Emeka picked up his phone. I need you to do 3 things. Find that ring. Get me proof on camera. And get Mama Bintu to this venue. Tobi raised an eyebrow. Mama Bintu? She never leaves her compound. Emeka met his eyes steadily. Tell her what we are dealing with. She will come. Tobi ran. Not the panicked run of someone losing control. The focused run of someone who had calculated exactly how many seconds he had before everything unraveled. Neka was calling someone. That someone would tell Mama Okafor. Mama Okafor would tell Vincent. Vincent would act. He had 90 seconds. Maybe less. He reached the vestry corridor and stopped. Composed himself. Then knocked on the vestry door casually, like a man with a simple errand. Sister Gladys? Are you in there? A pause. Then Neka's voice. Careful and controlled. She stepped out. Can I help you? Oh, yes, please. She asked me to collect the programs from the vestry shelf. Do you mind? Another pause. Longer this time. The door opened. Neka stood in the frame, phone in her left hand, screen dark now. Her right hand held the replacement bottle loosely. Her eyes were sharp and assessing. Tobi smiled at her and looked past her shoulder at the shelf behind her. Ah, I see them. Just there. He stepped forward naturally, giving her no clean reason to block him. She shifted. He moved to the shelf, picked up a stack of programs, and turned. His eyes dropped briefly to her phone hand. The screen had lit up with a half-typed message. He caught 3 words before she angled it away. He switched the. He had to move now. Thank you so much, he said warmly, tucking the programs under his arm. He stepped back toward the door. Are you excited? The ceremony is going to be beautiful. She said nothing, just watched him. He left. The moment he rounded the corner, he broke into a run again, straight to the main entrance where 3 things needed to happen simultaneously. He needed to intercept that message. He needed to find the ring. He needed to get Mama Bintu to the venue. 60 minutes left. He pulled out his phone and made 2 calls. The first to his cousin who worked in telecoms. The second to the young caterer boy he had tipped earlier. The third call he needed to make in person. He needed to go back to Mama Bintu. Tobi did not run. Running was an admission. Running told them exactly what they needed to know, that he was afraid, that he was alone, and that he had no backup. Instead, he turned to the caterer boy and spoke quickly and quietly. Go to the groom's suite. Knock twice. Tell Emeka exactly what you just told me, word for word. Then stay with him. Do not leave his side. Can you do that? The boy nodded and disappeared into the crowd. Tobi straightened his jacket and walked toward the three men at the gate. Not fast, not slow. The walk of a man going somewhere specific with no awareness that anyone is watching him. The triangle tightened slightly as he approached. Subtle, professional. These were not random muscle. They had done this before. 10 feet away, Tobi stopped and pulled out his phone, made a show of reading something, frowned, then looked up and addressed the man directly in front of him. Excuse me, are you with the catering team? I have a delivery confirmation here, and I need someone to sign at the gate. The man blinked. The triangle hesitated. In that half-second of confusion, Tobi stepped sideways, not through the gate, but toward the gateman's booth, and rapped on the small window. The old gateman slid it open. My brother, Tobi said quietly but urgently. Those three men at the gate. They are not guests. No wristbands. No asoabi. Call the venue security now. Quietly. The gateman looked past him, nodded slowly, reached for his radio. Tobi stepped back into the open just as the lead man recovered and moved toward him. Oga, we just need to talk to you. Privately. Of course, Tobi said pleasantly. But I believe the security team would love to join that conversation. 2 venue security guards were already walking over. The 3 men exchanged a look. Then they melted back, casually, like they had simply been standing there. Tobi exhaled. Gate cleared. For now. But the ring was inside the bridal suite, and he had 45 minutes left. Tobi went back to the groom's suite immediately. The ring sat on the dressing table. Small, gold, simple band with a single engraved pattern along the edge. Beautiful, innocent looking. He did not touch it with his bare hands. He pulled a handkerchief from his breast pocket, wrapped it carefully, and slipped it into his inner jacket pocket. He would get it to Dr. Amadi for testing after the ceremony. Right now he needed to think. Chidinma had surrendered the ring too easily. That bothered him more than anything else that had happened today. A woman who had planned this carefully, who had prepared a ritual pot, sourced a compound that confused pharmacists, coordinated with her mother and uncle, placed a watcher in the bridal party, did not simply smile and hand over a key weapon because her groom preferred tradition. She adapted. She had already adapted twice today, which meant somewhere in this venue there was a third method, something he had not found.